That's Kevin De Bruyne's view. We are joined live by a fellow Dutchman of Nigel de Jong's, Virgil van Dijk. Wow, we're just getting our breath watching that. What was it like to play in?
Same. Expected. Obviously, it was always going to be an intense game. Also a game that goes end to end, I think, because obviously with the quality both teams have. So yeah, it was expected. Obviously, we don't want to concede goals at all, but unfortunately, it happened today. And I think second half was a good half for us, especially the start, of course, with the early goal. But yeah, I think overall, I think well-deserved draw, I think.
Yeah, to come back twice at a place like this against a team like that, what does that say?
That we shouldn't come from behind, in my opinion. But it is like this, you know, and the situation we have to deal with, and we have character, we have the quality, we have to stay patient, and we have to play football, especially against them. And obviously at times it's difficult. At times it's difficult to find the free space in between the lines because they press good. But yeah, eventually it's difficult for an opponent to keep running and keeping the same energy level and pressing level for the whole 90 minutes, of course.
Virgil, obviously Manchester City pose a different threat to a lot of teams, not having necessarily that one centre-forward that comes in Markshire. What type of threat do they pose to you? How's it different to playing other teams?
Well, obviously they still have runners in behind, but you need to put pressure, especially on their midfield, I think. And I think when there was no pressure, for example, on Bernardo Silva, you could play the balls in behind, or Rodri, in this case, if the centre-backs has the ball, you know, the ball is still a long way out over the top, so you can run back and get the ball. So, you know, it's a lot of movement, especially up front with them. They move from left to right, dropping in. So you need to be very good in communication, of course.
Of course, you're going to go into halftime. You know, with City goes in halftime with a 2-1 lead. Did you guys change the tactics coming out in the second half? Or what was the message that Klopp said also going out in the second half?
I think the main message was to start playing again. I think there were moments in the first half where we kept the ball well, we played the ball quick, and then it's difficult for City to keep that pressure up high, and especially when we have such a quality up front with the runs in behind. So we had to start playing, and obviously the early goal in the second half helps. Knock them a little bit down, but then it's key to keep playing and get your moment. So that's what we try to do. Obviously, the quality they have, they still create chances, moments of on the break because they are a fantastic team.
Yeah, obviously you were both pushing for a winning goal. Mahrez right at the end. Just give us an idea of the concentration levels you have to have in a high-intensity game like that, Virgil.
Yeah, well, you have to. Also because what you said, you're trying to find the winner. So there will be spaces on the break for both teams. And with that exact moment, obviously we lost the ball. Kevin had the ball, and I thought he's got to play the easy pass, but knowing Kevin, he saw the most difficult one and the best one. And luckily for us, Mahrez trying to chip it and got blocked.
So just finally, 7 to play each, still 1 point in it. Game on?
Game on, yeah. I said it in after when we draw Chelsea away, that anything is still possible, and it still goes like this. Obviously our run-in is tougher than City's, but it's football, anything can happen, and we will recover now, hopefully qualify now for the next round in the Champions League, and then we'll focus on City again for the FA Cup. And that's going to be a hard job as well, but something we look forward to. I think today as well, everyone wants to be out here today and show your quality. And I don't want to be in a situation that I'm not playing for anything this season, or I'm playing for everything, and that's what I'm enjoying. And we still have a lot of games to go until the end of the season.
Well, we're enjoying watching, and we really enjoy your company. Thank you very much indeed for coming again. Nice to see you again.
Cheers.
There we go. I'll take that. Virgil van Dijk live for us at the Etihad. Interesting to hear him talk about the intensity there firsthand.
Yeah, the intensity, and you could sit there and ask him questions all day, couldn't you? I was just listening to him then and thinking, how brave have you got to be? You know, when you've got no pressure on the ball like that, no pressure in midfield, and he still plays a high line. He's still, willing to squeeze the play, because it's all on his head in many ways. He's taken the risk being a central defender, but when you've got that pace, a couple of times Raheem Sterling ran at him and things like that, and you just think, wow, just don't do it. He is literally like a brick wall, isn't he? But what a player, and he, the style of play that Liverpool have makes for a fantastic, fascinating game as well.
It was interesting to hear Kevin De Bruyne feel that City had the upper hand today. They had the VAR goal disallowed, and as we said to Virgil there, they had a big chance with Mahrez right at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think they had the best moments into the game to extend the lead, first of all, but also to win the game in the end. And of course, what he said, I think he's more disappointed about the moments they created that were not converted in the goal, and especially the last one with Mahrez. But nevertheless, they didn't lose, so that's a plus point for De Bruyne and also for City. So they gain a point and they're still ahead of Liverpool with 7 matches to go. So it's not going to be easy. Virgil said the same thing. It's game on from now on, and anything can happen. And the main thing for them is that the focus has to be in the next game, and they have to go step by step and not looking at their opponents at this stage.
Let's go back to that breathless first half, and indeed the unbelievable start from City with Kevin De Bruyne's deflected goal.
To pick it up again and to knock the ball back in, but we see the switch of play here from Thiago and Trent, like he always does, getting in advanced positions. This was one of his best parts of the game there, that little bit of play, and then not just admiring his play, but then getting into the box again to provide the assist. Robertson on the other hand.
Welcome back to the Etihad. More reaction to come after that incredible 2-2 draw between Manchester City and Liverpool, and we are delighted to welcome live touchline here the City boss Pep Guardiola. Pep, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We thoroughly enjoyed watching that. What was it like from a City boss point of view?
No, the same I love you. I think as City fans, Liverpool fans all around the country, so maybe in the world, watching the game, both teams want to play, want to try to win the games. They want that to happen with the quality, both sides, the players, the quality they have. Normally, it's happened in good games.
It was incredible speed and intensity. Did that surprise you in any way? Were you expecting a game like that today?
Honestly, we were playing to be Premier League champion, and if we don't play in this intensity, you cannot compete against Liverpool, or maybe Liverpool can compete against us, so we know it. So we go on Anfield, it's the same intensity for the side, and we need it, and we gave everything, and result is result. So I would say who deserves to win, I don't know. But we played to do it.
Pep, we always watch your games and specifically look at tactics with yourself. Was there any reason in particular why you played Jesus today? Was it to come inside with the overlap in fullback, or any other particular reason?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm an overthinking manager, so that's why I'm a genius. So if you see Liverpool, they are so tight, so high. The spaces is in the sides and in behind. In the middle is almost impossible, except in some parts. And we try to, to make more switch of plays and more runners because they are high, because they help to be there, because they are exceptional in that movement to regain the ball quicker, and after the threat in the transition is unbelievable. So look at the second goal. We lose the ball, Alexander-Arnold put the ball inside, the more control inside Salah in the moment Mane attack. How many times has done this? 1,000 millions in these 5 or 6 years, but still they do it because they are really good. And that was the reason why. And in general was Gabriel, Raj and Phil were amazing, were fantastic in the job they done.
Yeah, you touched base already on the second goal of Liverpool. Of course, when you go into the halftime with a 2-1 lead, how disappointing is it when you come out, when you do your speech, that you have to be composed?
Yeah,
that you concede after 46 seconds?
Yeah, I would love to say. I think you don't have any player that will learn. So it's football.
True.
So it's football. So say, no, you cannot concede a goal in the last minutes. Yeah, you can concede a goal in the last minutes. So it's football. So, yeah, Eddie was not good in the decision. We take in, and after the quality they have. So, and after we suffer, because the people talk about tactics, but how we can talk about the reaction and mentally when you are in the locker room, like we make an incredible first half, and immediately 2-2 because after 1 minute, and we suffered these 5 or 6 or 7 minutes. But after again, Bernardo and Rodri, they took the ball, they took the game, and it's difficult to create chances against them. But if the last minute we have a good decision making with Gabriel pass back and Jack in the last counter-attack to push Kevin coming from behind, the chance we have Riyad, so it was a pity because we allowed them few when it's a team that create a lot of chances, and we create enough to win the game.
But when we spoke this week, you were talking about pushing each other and 2 great teams over the last 5 years. Have we just seen that in one game again, going head-to-head, toe-to-toe, these 2 teams?
I think we respect them a lot. They know it, and I think they respect us a lot. So in the last 4 or 5 years, I think we were incredible and nice battle. So Jurgen make me a better manager. Always I try to do what they do and the way they do, and I think the most important thing. So how many regrets can I have as a manager to my players, to our people? Honestly, it's impossible. So I know against which team we played, and no one single regret. So we were fantastic, and after 7 games, I know we have to win all the games to be champion, and maybe we're not going to do it, but how many regrets we can have when we fight again after 5 seasons until the end against this Liverpool. So we're going to try now, travel to Madrid, Champions League, FA Cup, and yeah, move forward.
Still in your hands, though.
I would say yes. I would say yes. Maybe tomorrow no, but yes. We're going to sleep top of the league, yeah, that's for sure.
Great to see you. Thank you very much
guys.
indeed.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Oh, there you go. You're going to give
me the last,
hand the
the
baton
last
over.
question. And then
This is fantastic, isn't it?
Standing
Live,
us in 10
kickside.
minutes.
Look at this.
See you in 6 days.
Don't know how long we're going to chat, but we're going to wait.
Yeah,
It's not a bad
we just-
For the
substitution,
2 best
is it?
managers in the world.
We have a
I
quality.
told I told her, don't do it, but she was against United. She was in the crowd and got an elbow, and now she wanted to go there.
You will appreciate around the world. If there's anyone we're going to wait for, it's Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp. Good to see you.
Ladies,
Coach, how are you? Okay, good?
I'm good, yeah.
Whew, we're still getting a breath. What was that like from your point of view?
They're good. I liked it. So after the game to the boys, I said to the boys, I'm happy with a lot of things, but it feels like there was more in for us today. We could have, in all moments when we played football, I thought we caused them more problems than we did in the past. So around goals, generally we played pretty good. We remember goals which we scored here after, I don't know, 30 passes, or at Anfield, double switch, these kind of things. But what we did around the first goal, that's actually what we want to do more often. The only problem is we lose a ball, and their counter-attacks are really crazy, and you don't just shake that off. It's just, okay, be careful, maybe not in tight areas, pass there, and that's what you saw. But from my point of view, I say it's a fair result, and yeah, we will not stop chasing, obviously. We have now 2 different competitions. Champions League, very important, and then FA Cup against them as well, crazy. Yeah, and from then, when we play Premier League, we will give it a go.
When we spoke last week, you were talking about their insane football. To go behind twice here, but to hit back on both occasions, what does that say about the strength of your players?
If somebody questions the mentality of my boys or character, that would be really crazy. And how it is in football, so you need a bit of luck. The goal we scored was a great goal, but it's like inches. Ball, take it direct, one touch and in. That can happen everything. It can be in the stance, and it's the same character. You just lose the game. So, they started obviously the first half with a similar situation when Ali could make the save. That gave them the momentum. You could see that, and this situation gave us the momentum. So we were really the next 10-15 minutes. We were really in control, and I like that a lot. We have to extend these phases, and then we probably can win a game against them as well.
Jurgen, another characteristic your team displays, and a lot of courage, especially at the back. I always look at you and think sometimes Manchester City were playing in behind, but you still got that bravery to push up, to squeeze the game, to try to keep your attacks going.
Okay, in football it's like this. If there's no pressure on the ball, you cannot have a high last slide. We had that once or twice today. But in all other situations, when Hendo could step up, because the wingers had to defend the width, obviously, then Hendo can step up. Then you saw them turning, passing back and stuff like this. But there's a moment when you take a deep breath. That's a moment when you have to drop, but you can't. That's not that easy. It's like all of a sudden, he has the ball free, no pressure, and then he chips it just in behind. We were lucky when they scored the goal and it was disallowed for offside. But apart from that, we wanted to be ourselves. And it doesn't mean a crazy high line. It just means we want to put them under pressure where they want to build. And that worked out a lot of times, not all the times. And then, you could suffer a little bit, but that's the way it is.
Jurgen, now the game has been played and you leave the stadium as well. How do you feel? How's your emotion? Do you think it's 2 games of 2 points lost or 2 points won?
No. The season is too long. If we win today, then we are 2 points up. What is that then? Feet on the chair or what, and say that's it. They will not lose a lot of games. We will not lose a lot of games, hopefully. If we do, then we have no chance. That's fine. If we don't do, but the plan is actually to keep them under pressure. Yes, we were already in a similar situation years ago. We didn't become champion because of 11 inches. People forget that. It was a situation here, in that goal, I think, when Stones and Ederson kick the ball in each other's face, and in the end, Stones can make that save. If that ball is in, we are maybe champion. A few weeks later, Burnley, similar situation. City can score a goal for that against Burnley, and that's the situation. We cannot force luck. We will just try absolutely everything to win our games, and then we will see what they do. But we have other competitions between now and then, and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. You do have other competitions, but you've got 7 league games to go. Do you think it's going to be that fine margin again that you're going back to?
Now, hopefully, if it's not a fine margin, then I can see them dropping plenty of points. So we have to be really nearly perfect and ruthless and force luck in these moments in games where we really just win football games, and then we will see if they drop somewhere points or not. We will face them only. Okay. Champions League, we could face them as well. So
you could, yeah.
At least one more time, but not in the league at least. So now we have just to make sure that the next Premier League games are United and Everton. So against us, they 100% squeeze both a performance out. That we can imagine that. It's not that they just give up and say, okay, we don't want. No, that will be really, really tough for us. But I couldn't be bothered about it. I'm really happy with the situation and our development, and yeah, all good. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. Listen, you said last week the whole world stops for this fixture. It did. It didn't disappoint. Thank you. And thank you for joining us, Jürgen.
Super.
Great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Wow. Match day live at the Etihad. We had to wait for Pep Guardiola and Jürgen Klopp live. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No,
Big Virgil as
Virgil
well,
van
eh?
Dijk to throw it in as well.
Forget
Just-
big Virgil van Dijk.
I know.
And back to us now, sadly.
Yeah. Sorry, viewers. You're left with
Cheers,
Michael
man.
Owen
Cheers,
and Nigel
Stephen.
de Jong.
Cheers, Stephen. Cheers, Stephen. It has been a
I
pleasure.
didn't mean it like that. You know
okay,
that,
okay.
Nigel.
No.
Even when you speak to them, as I'm lucky enough to do, and you speak to them now, the mentality of those two leaders for a dressing room to follow.
It's fantastic. I mean, these are the kind of coaches that you want to play for and play under as well. You had your fair share of coaches. I had my fair share of coaches. But these guys, what they did for the last 5 years here in the Premier League is just amazing. And it feels like whenever a new player comes in, he just adjusts to the system and to the mentality as well. So that says something not only from a coach on a tactical point of view, but as a management. He understands his players to the core as well. And the way how he got a reception here from his fans is also second to none. And then also, of course, the little chat that they had with Guardiola and Klopp, that says also something between the two of them. So yeah, I loved. If I was still playing in my high days, I would still love to play under one of these two coaches.
Does it make you want to get your boots on when you listen to those two and you watch a game like today?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think it's the culture that they've created at their respective clubs, isn't it? You can't do that, in 6 months, in 1 year even, and both of these managers have had time to, to imprint that style of play, that culture within the club, and it just shows you, if you've got the right man and you give them time and you give them money and you give them everything that they need, then they can create two teams like this. And as we said before the game, two of the best teams we've ever seen going head to head. It doesn't get much better than that. That first half, I was literally I was falling off my seat, let alone on the edge of my seat. It was absolutely brilliant and everything the game should be about.
I'm fascinated to hear Jürgen Klopp there go back to previous seasons and those fine margins. And that could be the difference again as we stand here now with 7 games to go, Nigel.
I think so. I think it's now just a matter of the fact who's going to make the first mistake. This game is just out of the way. The two biggest rivals play now both head-to-head games, so that's out of the way. So now they have to make sure that they just continue winning their games. And if nothing happens, obviously City is going to be the champion at the end of the season. But I think we're still in for some drama in these next upcoming 7 games. So obviously I'm biased, so I'm hoping that it's not going to go Liverpool's end. But at the end of the day, it's good for the Premier League that it's still so close because it goes till the end.
Yeah, and from Liverpool's point of view, you said right at the start at 1 o'clock at UK time here today, they must not lose. And they haven't, and they've twice been behind.
Yeah, and I almost think that in that last 20 minutes, both managers, if you'd offered them a point, they would have taken it. And the players on the pitch, I thought they'd both play, even though they still went for it because it's just in their blood to go for it. I still think that they were quite happy with a draw. Liverpool didn't want to be out of this title race, and they would have if they had been beaten today. Manchester City, we're a point ahead. Do we need to risk it? I think both teams reasonably happy at the end of it with a point each.
A game of the highest order. We've brought you the two world's best managers live here, Titchside as well at the Etihad. What a day. When you speak to anyone at the Etihad, it's what everyone was talking about today. I just wonder, I mean, it's interesting to hear the two boys there, but are we in any way, shape or form looking at it differently with just one big game chalked off? I know there's still a point difference with one game to go. Frame of mind-wise, what do you think?
I think so. I think Manchester City have probably got a better chance now than they had before the game.
Why?
Because this was the big one. This is the one that they could lose, and obviously it wouldn't be in their hands anymore. I think now, with those set of fixtures that we've just seen him and the guys talking about, I think that Manchester City's position has strengthened at the top of the league. Despite them not going any further clear, I just think getting that one out the way and not losing it, all of a sudden now I think their running looks a whole lot easier, and I'd say that they're looking stronger favourites than what they were before the game.
Interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. I think City is by far the favourite now. You know, after this game has been played, 1 point out of the game. This game, you can scratch this one off, and of course, it's all about the next 2 or 3 games that are coming. But I really think, and I think I agree with Owen in the studio as well, is that they're not going to win all their games. I think really there is still some up to it, and we've seen it also previous before that. There's still 7 games to go, and to win all 7 games is so hard because they're also in different competitions. So in order to do that, and also to stay in the Champions League, for example, as we all know, especially City wants to win that after the disappointment against Chelsea in the final. It is really hard just to maintain it. So I think both teams will drop points. It's just a matter of the fact who's going to drop the most points. So you know, and especially the first 2 games, I think City playing home twice is a big advantage.
Just the simple maths would say every time you chalk one more game off, then whoever's at the top would strengthen their grip on the title, wouldn't they? I mean, if there was 30 games to go, you'd say, wow, you know, lots of things. But the less and less it goes, you know, it's 7 or 8 games, now 7, and then it's going to be 6, and all of a sudden, if it stays like that, then City are just going to get stronger and stronger favourites. So,
if you look at the list, if you look at Liverpool's list, to which opponent do you think they will have the most difficulties?
It was interesting to hear Jurgen Klopp, wasn't it, about United and Everton, because on paper, no matter what the form
you got
is,
Villa away.
Even the manager's saying, listen, that's their game of the season, United and Everton.
It is. I don't see any gimmies there for Liverpool. I really don't. I think every one of Liverpool's games are tough. And whereas Manchester City, I think they've got 3 or 4 gimmies, especially their home games. Away at Leeds, they're just too good for Leeds. I think Wolves and West Ham are their toughest games, but I can see them winning every other one of those games. And as I say, I think Liverpool have got tough ones in. All of those are tough for Liverpool.
And obviously, we've heard from Connor, who's got to play them both. Can I just point one fixture out as well that they both have to play? Aston Villa, managed by Steven Gerrard, who brings his team here at the Etihad on the final day. He couldn't, could he?
He could. If it's still going by then, he could. Yeah, I mean, you might see him change his title to player manager before that game, get his boots on. You never know. And Aston Villa are a strong side, of course, but in general, I think those fixtures definitely favour City.
That would be something. That would definitely be something. Just imagine that. But obviously, Liverpool has to play Aston Villa before City plays Aston Villa as well. So it's going to be curious how hard he will go and set his team up against Liverpool as well, just to go all in. But you know, that being said, they have to go all the way. It doesn't really matter which opponent you get. You need to win your games, and that's what we've seen today. The two best teams out there in the Premier League try to go for the 3 points. Obviously, they split the points today, and it's going to be curious for me to see the first 2 games. I think that is the really the most important 2 games that is in this fixture list from both teams.
It was really interesting to hear Jurgen Klopp go back to years gone by and the fine margins. When we look back at today as well, and the chances the teams had, City in particular.
Of the Liverpool players, but looking at those chances compared to the City ones, you have to say City had the better of them.
So give us an idea when you're going for a title and you're at this stage of the season now, 7 games to go, psychologically, and as you rightly say, trying to combine 2 of the trophies as well, particularly the obsession round here with the Champions League.
Yeah, it's really hard, of course. That's the reason why you have a big squad. You rotate. You know, we were discussing before this game of who's going to start up front, and we were all wrong. So that says something also about the mindset that these coaches have. They have to have a big squad and rotation. But we all know in the back of the mind, Champions League is the number one trophy for them to win it, especially after the disappointment in the final against Chelsea. So it's really hard to stay composure because obvious today was also a big game, and you want to win the Premier League. With 7 games to go, but yeah, you have to rotate. You have to find a way that everybody stays on the same page. Everybody has the same energy and intensity, and don't lose the focus, because the focus is still win the Premier League, but also win the Champions League. Because I think, really, if I'm honest, I think the bigger disappointment will be not winning the Champions League this year. I think really
even having been 14 points ahead in the Premier League.
I'm not saying that. I thought, of course, you want to win the Premier League always, but the Champions League is still the one that everybody wants here in City. You can sense it every time they play the Champions League. It's that urge to win it as well. So, you know, they're now in the knockout stages and in the quarterfinal. So yeah, they just urge to find that right balance to go to the semis and then the final because of the disappointment. So. Nevertheless, it's going to be a disappointment. I think the main focus is on the Champions League,
and that could still play a part in both teams, not just City, with these huge European nights still to come.
Huge games. I think based on both squads there, virtually everybody's fit in both squads. So, you know, rotation and things like that will come into it. They don't have to keep playing the same players. And I've often said, you know, with Manchester City's, you know, track record, with Liverpool's track record, Liverpool have been there and done